The shape of the fan brush can be deceiving, but let me show you 3 ways you can unlock its potential. The deceiving part of the fan brush, as I said, is its shape, leading artists who might just be exploring it for the first time to think that the stroke that they make with the fan brush should be the shape of the fan brush. But that's not it at all. Now, there are many things that a fan brush is capable of doing, but let me show you 3. They're very special things a fan brush can do. The first thing is using stipple. You might call this the stipple technique that you can do with a fan brush. Is using stipple to show sparkle on water. Now, usually you don't use the fan brush to pick up the paint. Well, sometimes you might pick up a little bit of paint with it, but it's mainly an effects brush. Its purpose is to more to create effects in areas where paint has already been applied, as opposed to actually applying the paint. That doesn't mean it can't be used to apply the paint, but I want to show you some of the effects of when the brush is used just for what it can do without applying the paint. So that means I'll use just a flat brush to apply the paint, and because of the we need to keep these quick tips sort of short, I won't try to do an image per se, but I'll just put something here that kind of makes sense of what an image might be. Now, you might have, say, a river, and I'll just come like right here. So you might have a river, and I'll just put some paint here to indicate what might be the water flowing in a river as it's coming down like this. This could also, this particular effect could also be done like for the tops of ocean waves and that sort of thing. Now, this is just a start. So suppose you would like to have that sparkle that we see with the movement of the water on the surface of the river, or on the surface of the water of the river. Okay, so I'm going to throw just a little bit of light in here, like this, with my other brush, so just a little bit of light in here, because we would see that sort of light, like that. Then, go with the fan brush and pick up, I'll just pick up on the tip of the fan brush. This is just after I said you don't necessarily use a fan brush for applying paint, but see, the major application is done with another brush. Now I'll pick up, and I'm picking up just kind of a very, very light violet right here, just on the tip of the fan brush. Now I'm going to just stipple that, and I won't use the whole shape of the brush. I'm just going to turn the brush in my hand very slightly like this, and I'm just going to kind of stipple, you see, like that, and bring, again, be careful not to use the whole shape of the brush, because then we'll get that fan shape and it won't make any sense. Okay, just stipple, using just one portion of the brush, and stipple across like that, and you begin to feel. Now I'll kind of drag just a little bit like that, and drag just a little bit like that, and then just a little bit like that, and you begin to feel then that sense of sparkle that you would see on water. So there's one thing that you might explore with your fan brush. Now, I'm just going to wipe the front fan brush because I don't want it to be wet. It functions for other things when it's wet, and these things I want to show you work better when it's dry. Now, the second thing I want to show you is what I call whisper. And that is, if you have like a field of grass, a pasture, or a lawn, or just a field of grass, and it's been mowed, but you want to communicate that it's grass. And here's one way you might do that. Now I'm going to do just a little bit of a representation here. This is no attempt to really paint a field of grass, but I'm just going to do a little bit of a representation here, where you might have in the distance it would be lighter, and as it gets closer to us it might be getting slightly darker as a field like that would, and then as it's getting even closer to us it would be getting even a little darker. Now you see I have the values here varied. So we have the distance there, a little lighter, and then we have the closer up values, a little darker. Like that. Now, to indicate what I call a whisper, we would take the fan brush. Let me take a palette knife here, and within this dark, lighter area back here, we would pick up a value that is it's just a little bit darker, but not much. So I might come over here and I pick up a value that's just a little bit darker than that. Now it can't be much, not more than a half a degree or a degree darker to make this really work, what I call whisper. And I'll pick that up with the fan brush, just on the tip of the fan brush like that. And then again, just sort of, I'll push the brush and just sort of push upward, just with the tilt, not on the fan shape, but just on the edge like this, and sort of push up just a little bit, not much, just a little bit, so that we can tell there's a little bit of difference in value there. Then I come down to the next value and make that, again, that area just a little bit darker, not much, just a little bit darker. You could also do this if you made that just a little bit different intensity. Let's just do it with value on this little quick tap. Now let's see if is that darker, just a little bit darker. Let's make it just a little bit more than that. Can't be extreme. If the value is too extreme, it looks artificial, so it won't really work. There we go. All right, so just whisper. Barely touch it and give it a slight push upward. See? Just whisper. Just a little whisper on top of that. You begin to feel the sense of grass, of pasture type grass, where the grass is short. And then we can do one more layer where we come in front and do the same thing. Each time the value that we pick up, I'm going to clean this just a little bit here so it will be fresher. Now the value that we pick up will be just a little bit darker, just about half the value darker than the value onto which it's being applied, and touch it and just let it whisper with a little slight push upwards, just like this. Not much. Now if you push it, if you give it a long push, you'll get long grasses. See, I'll show you. See there? Now you've got unmowed grasses. Well, maybe you might want that too, especially in the front. And so then you can just put a little accent at the bottom like this. And so there you go. Now we feel, or I can feel, at least hope you can too, that might be a field of pasture or a lawn of some sort. Now the third thing I want to show you, and the last thing, is what I would call the sweep that we can make with a fan brush. And this is a good stroke, a good method, effects stroke for if you're doing two things. Actually, it works for. One would be if you're doing the breakers on the ocean, breakers and waves on the ocean, and another would be for hair. So which one shall I show you? Well, I might be able to show you both because they work on the same principle. So let's, again, this one will be one where the first coat of paint gets applied with another brush, not with the fan brush. So we need two values of paint for that. And so if we were doing a breaker in the ocean, now I won't be getting the exact colors or the exact values for the breaker in the ocean, but it's just to show you how this works. You would put the dart that you would need for the breaker in the ocean. You place the dart that you would need, and then as it would come down, of course, it would get a little bit lighter, something like that. And then at the very top, with the other brush, place the lighter value that would represent, just place a band of color like that. That would be the breaker as it's coming over. And maybe above that, we might place even a lighter color, just in a little bit of a row, kind of like this. Now, let's just let the fan brush sweep right through that. Just a gentle sweep right through that. And you can see that you can get the feeling of the breaker. And you can even do You can do one or two. You don't want to do too many passes of that because it will become all muddy. But if you wanted to, then you could come back over here like this on the very top there, and add another, with another brush, add another little row of paint, and then very gently, let's get a clean paper towel here and clean this off. Very gently, very gently, very gently. Always when you're doing these things, hold the brush either this way or this way. If you hold it this way, then it does give that rounded top, which is kind of ugly. So, and you just pull it in whatever direction. See there? Very gently, sweep through it very gently, like that. And you can turn the sweep in whatever way you wanted to. And as you can see, that makes hair very effective. Now I'll just show you very quickly here how you might do a similar thing with hair. Where if you had, well, you first need you need some some hair to look at so that you'll know how the hair flows. But suppose you had a section of a woman's hair, or men's, it could be either one, that's sort of flowing, dark and flowing, and it's sort of coming down, and it's kind of dark hair. Well, one example of that, I'm looking over here. I can't show you because it's a copyrighted photograph, but I saw an example there where the hair is coming over the woman's head, and the hair is, the light part of the hair is about this value right here. So we just sort of make that value like that. And that area, that particular area needs to be, the brush needs to be well loaded, a lot of paint. And then as it's coming down, it gets darker. And again, some artists like to make some portrait artists like to make a hair, the flowing hair strokes go in the opposite direction of the flowing of the hair itself. But and so that would be going something like that. Now, so to make the hair flow, you put the bands of value on there. So where it's lighter would be one band of value, and then as it gets progressively darker, that would be another band of value. And then you can see you can use that sweep, the sweeping stroke of the fan brush, and you can see, so whatever direction the hair is flowing, so you just pull this right through that, just like that, just like that. It may take 2 or 3 strokes depending on how much, depending on how wide the area of light is, or how narrow, or in which direction it would flow, in which direction the hair would flow, and how soft you want it. You can already see, if you look really close at that, you can already see how that might communicate hair. So those are just 3 things that the fan brush can do for you. The main thing to remember is what you should not make it do, and that is you don't want it to do that. You can see that if you try to, if you're trying to use the fan brush and have its shape indicate or be indicated on the canvas, it's going to look kind of, now I would say, not right. Anyway, there's your quick tip.